naye nga ssente zitekebwa ku akawunta ey'omuntu atamanyiddwa.
Baali bagamba nti omusomesa ono bateese n'omuzimu guli bwafeze gutwalanga muzimu okusobola okuba nga afuna ssente ze mpola mpola. So ffe ng'abakulembeze abasomesa ekyo twakigaana.
Tekinnategerekeka abasomesa bameka ab'empewo abali ku lukalala lwa gavumenti. Gavumenti egamba nti ekizibu kino banaatera okukinogera eddagala.
All efforts are being made to free the payroll from any ghosts if at all they were there.
Jingo Francis, NTV kusaawa emu.
Kulikayo Jingo Francis ye omukumi w'ekitongole eky'obwannannyini Kikeke Security alumiriza poliisi okwekobaana ne gye yabadde akuuma okuvunga omusango gw'okulusanyizibwa mukama we gwe yawaabye. Wabula poliisi egamba nti kampuni ya Keke ensonga zino ezifudde za kitalo nnyo songa teziri mu ggumba.
Julius agamba nti nga lumu omwezi guno mukama we Mike akulira Kira Designs Limited esangibwe Muyenga yamukakanako n'amukuba olw'okusanga gate yemu nga nzigule.
So I was asking, boss, why are you slapping me? He told me, why is the entry gate open? So when I was trying to explain, never allowed me again. He gave me punches behind of my head here. So when I see that the punches are too much, I decided to run out now.
Omusango guno gwatwalibwa ku poliisi Kabalagala wabula bagamba nti gufutyankiddwa.
When I made the statement, I told him, should we arrest the guy tomorrow? He said no, maybe the following day. So they keep playing me. They even spent 3 days without arresting the guy.
Julius agamba nti yamukuba yakkiriza omusangira n'agamba okumuliyirira wabula poliisi olwawulira ku nsimbi mbwolo n'etandika okugootanya omusango nga yeesalawo n'ensimbi ze balina okumuwa.
But suddenly the DPC came and he got me talking to these two Bazungus, his colleagues, and he called those two first to his office. When he called those two, they called again the person who beated me. He also went there to the DPC office. So they spent like 30 minutes and they called me also. I went there. The DPC directly told me that I'm going to give you advice. That money you want is too much.
Police tugituukiridde ku nsonga zino naye ng'eziddamu mu ngeri etamatiza.
But for us as police, we follow the legal system. The file has to go to state and state will guide us accordingly. The issues of their negotiation is completely out of police. If they are to negotiate, that is them.
Poliisi eregamba nti lwaki Abakeke baagala nnyo okumanya ebikwata ku musango guno okusinga omukozi gwe baakubye.
It's unfortunate that the complainant is not the one following this. It is his bosses.
Kyokka Abakeke abakozesa Julius bagamba nti kibakakatako okulwanirira omukozi waabwe.
So I told the guard, I said, I can't do this at my personal level. The best thing I can do is to consult my other bosses, superiors, which I did, and I was told this case has to go to court.
Y'omugagga Mike tutuuse ku maka ge Muyenga n'agaana okwogera naffe. Deni Lobo wa Sava, NTV ku ssaawa emu.
NTV ku ssaawa emu tukyagenderera mu maaso wa tugenda kusooka tuwumulimu katono ddala mu kudda tugenda kutuusaako ebirala byotalina kusubwa mulimu ne bino. Ebyobulamu ekitugu mu bitabuse eddwaliro erya Pawid Health Center 2 ligaddwa lwa bbula ly'abasawo. Gomba bugumiridde abantu balindiridde kukuza amazaalibwa ga Kabaka olunaku olw'enkya.
Load the airtime knowing it's easy. You get it all back with cheese. All the airtime you spend at the end of the month, cheese. 1K, 2K, 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K. Airtime you spend is refunded. Talk and talk with cheese. Chicho. Uganda Telecom's got something.
Get back your airtime with Chize from Uganda Telecom. Dial *100# select Chize and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service. Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Tonight on NTV.
You know, I don't bring it up out of jealousy. Oh, my love. You were always disposable to me. What does trouble me is that you might have told Patricia our secrets, or I don't know.
There's a snake on my foot. In the form of a question. There's a snake on my foot? Correct! What do I do? I got a lot of ideas. I'm bursting with ideas on the subject. It's tricking me. You could stick your finger in its hole.
Tonight on NTV.
NTV kusawe mokulikayo mukumula mwoko elake tugende mu maaso. Abalwadde mu ddwaliro lya Pawid Health Center 2 mu disitulikiti y'Ekitugu mu basatira oluvannyuma lw'eddwaliro erimu bweriti lye balina mu kitundu okuggalawo olw'Ebola ly'abasawo. Eddwaliro lino erisangibwa mu ggombolola y'e Lagoro. Abakulu baalitadeko kufula olw'okubanga lirina omusawo omu bw'ati ate nga naye abadde muzito nga yagenze kusumulukuka. Omusasi waffe alojja ennaku abantu mu kitundu kino kati gye bayitamu okubeezaawo obulamu.
Ebisolo obucaafu obuyitiridde n'eddagala eryayitako ebiseera bye bimu ku bintu kw'otuusiza amaaso ng'otuuse ku ddwaliro lya Pawid lino mu ggombolola y'e Lagoro. Sabbiiti bbiri emabega Proscovia Mono wano we yali akolera ng'omujjanjabi nga tannaba kugenda kusumulukuka ekyaviirako eddwaliro okuggalwawo. Agamba nti omusawo abadde yakamalawo omwezi gumu nga baali bamanyi bawonya okutambula engendo. Proscovia nga muzaalisa ye mukozi yekka abadde aweereza abalwadde bonna abajja wano mu kifo ky'abakozi omwenda nga bwe kirina okuba. Wadde ng'eddwaliro lino lya gavumenti, ekitongole kya World Vision kye kimuwa omusaala.
Community was now getting used to the health unit, but I can't say it is fortunate or unfortunate that I've delivered.
Oluvannyuma lwa Proscovia okugenda okuzaala, abalwadde ababadde bajja wano batandise okusiyagguka engendo empanvu okufuna we bajja obujjanjabi. Okuva mu mwaka gwa 2012 eddwaliro lino we lyatandika okukola, Proscovia ye mukozi owookubiri okulikolako ng'eyasooka naye omulimu yagusuulawo olw'obutasasulwa. Eddwaliro erisinga okuba okumpi n'abantu bano lyesudde kilomita 7 era nga ne lwe twakyaddeyo abalwadde bangi twabasanze nga bali mu mwasanjala okugenda okufuna obujjanjabi. Bagenda mu ddwaliro naye tasuubirayo buyambi.
We are going to deploy the minimum staff, which we are going to deploy 4 staff in addition to our midwife.
Ebyobulamu mu Uganda bikyakongojja nnyo olw'ebbula ly'ensimbi, abakozi wamu n'obukulembeze obubi. Solomon Kawesa, NTV ku ssaawa emu.
Bo bannabutambala basiibye mu keeterekero kakwaniriza mutanda olunaku olw'enkya nga bakuza amazaalibwa ge. Emikolo gigenda kubeera ku ssomero lya siniya ery'Eggombe. Ebiyitirirwa byo byawedde dda okuzimbibwa so nga abamu balabiddwako nga basekebbula ebifuga.
Embuutu n'engalo ebisiibye bisekebbuka mu ssaza lya Ssaabasajja ery'e Butambala nga beetegekera okwaniriza omutanda olunaku lw'enkya ku mikolo egy'okuguza amazaalibwa ago aga 58. Ebiyitirirwa bizimbiddwa so nga n'abayiira n'okuyoyota maaso moogi w'anaayita era ne batutegeeza ng'olunaku lw'enkya lwe balulindiridde.
Tulinda ssaawa yokka mutanda atuuke, tusaba Mukama amutuuse bulungi, tusanyuke naye tewali kirala kyonna.
Emikolo gya kubeera ku ssomero lya Ggombe lya siniya. Essomero ly'Eggombe lino lya byafaayo liriko omutisse Kabaka Muteesa owookubiri gwe yasimba nga aligulawo kati emyaka 5 egy'emabega. Ye Katamba ategeezezza ng'omutanda bw'asuubirwa okusula mu ssaza lye era ng'olunaku lw'enkya wakulambuula n'eddwaliro ly'Eggombe.
Wangala Ssaabasajja ye omusajja atambula ng'awenyera oluvannyuma lw'okufuna akabenje asobeddwa eka ne mu kibira oluvannyuma lwa ŋŋaali okutandika okumugoberera buli walaga. Ono atuuse n'okugamba abatuuze banne embalala ng'ekinyonyi kino bwe kirabika nga kimusera. Wabula abamu ku batuuze bagamba nti ekinyonyi kino ate kyandibanga kya mikisa era bamugambye agende mu maaso n'okukirabirira obulungi.
Ekya Amos Mbarebaki okugobererwa ŋŋaali buli wadda
buli omu akitaputa bugwe. Abamu bagamba nti ngaali kinyonyi kya mikisa so nga bala bagamba nti ono kimukungula bukunguzi. Amos abeera mu disitulikiti y'e Barara mu ggombolola y'ebihalwe yagwa ku kabenje ka mmotoka mu Novemba w'omwaka oguwedde era nga kati atambula awenyera. Ab'enganda za Amos baamwesamba era nga tewali amulabirira wabula bwakyalumu n'afuna omugenyi atali wa bulijjo ng'ono ye ŋŋaali ono.
ninchakunana amaguru ninchakuchera nyetororoma mukisai kunahikamu tambura muntu nanakakurya hente ziri entwanda yandemera njantubisi ntinyanje kufeje ntwana yerkwenda kunyita ntikangaruke y'umukangu ngwerecho ngwa muryango gwanjye ati mpinduka ntinda yandemera.
Okuva olwo ekinyonyi ky'eggwanga kino tekikyalukukanga era nga buli Amos wadda nga nakyo mu ngeri y'akabaani ku ndongo. Abatuuze abamu kino bakirabanga eky'omukisa eri omuntu atalina amujjanjaba. Bagamba nti okusinziira ku nfumo ze bamanyi ngaali ayogerwako ng'ekinyonyi eky'emikisa era ne bawanuuza nti ensonga lwaki kyafuulibwa ekinyonyi ky'ensi yattu Uganda.
Mbwene ntuheji ahabw'okugira ngu nyowe tinkukiteekateekaho kuba mbi ninteekateeka ngu yareeta omugisha.
Amos bwadda waka ngaali naye ngadda ku nnyumba waggulu okuwukyala era okuvaawo nga mpozi Amos aliko waalaze ate nga bagenda bombi.
Oba kyamikisa oba kyabisiraani Mukama byonna yamanyi. Wabula tukyagenda ddala mu maaso tugenda kusula tuwumulemu katono mu kudda tukutuuseeko ate ebivudde mu nsiike y'ebyemizannyo toseguka.
Sunlight adds fabric conditioners to washing powder to give you Sunlight 2-in-1 for sensational cleaning and fragrance that lasts and lasts and lasts. Sunlight 2-in-1, sensational cleaning and
must watch.
Whoa, don't tell me you're thinking about eating the forbidden fruit.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. What is it about this fruit that they don't want us to have?
It's not the fruit, it's about the rule. It's about doing what you're told.
Yeah, we've been doing what we were told our entire lives.
Stop! Get back! Let it go! Must watch.
Kano kanyomero ka byamizannyo kulika y'omukuumulamu. Ttiimu y'eggwanga ey'omuzannyo gw'okuwuga etandise okutendekebwa olwaleero nga yeetegekera okwetaba mu mpaka z'amawanga ga Africa ezigenda okubeera wano mu ggwanga omwezi guno. Abawuzi 50 be batendekeddwa olwaleero ku ssomero lya Kampala Prince Kololo.
Ttiimu ya Uganda yakusinga okwesigama ku bawuzi abalina obumanyirivu okusobola okuwangula emidaali mu mpaka za Kana ezigenda okubeera mu Uganda omwezi guno. Wadenga Musayi Muto Jamila Lunkuse awanduseemu olw'emisomo omutendesi Muzaffar Muwanguzi agamba nti wakwesigama ku bawuzi nga Joshua Ekirikubinza, Arnold Kisulo, Katrina Sangalyambogo n'abalala abalina obumanyirivu mu mpaka zino. Muzaffar era agamba nti abazannyi abategese bulungi okwanganga bannaabwe abanava mu mawanga amalala.
Competition yaffe ejja kubeera nnungi okusinziira ku mbeera nti ffe bategesi kyawaliriza abawuzi baffe abalungi abali ebweru n'abali wano bonna okukolaki okwenyigira mu kintu kino era ntwogera tulina ttiimu ey'amaanyi yagisuubira ejja okukola obulungi.
Wadde nga gwe gugenda okubeera omulundi gwe ogwokusatu okwetaba mu mpaka zino, omumbejja Katrina Sangalyambogo yeekengedde bannakenya n'aba South Africa olw'omutindo gwabwe.
Kenya ne Zambia ne Tanzania ne South Africa baina abawuzi abalungi.
Amawanga 10 ge gakakasizza okwetaba mu mpaka zino.
Ate yo ttiimu ya URA yakwegatta ku KCCA nga ttiimu z'ebitongole zokka mu ggwanga ezirina ebisaawe ebyobwannannyini mu mwezi wa Kanyisa. Kino nno kiddiridde abakungu mu kitongole ekirowooza ky'ebyemisolo ki URA okutema evvuunike mu kifo awagenda okuzimbibwa ekisaawe eky'omulembe ekisuubirwa okutuuza abantu emitwalo 2.5. Omusasi waffe yabaddeyo era katuwe ebisingawo.
Abakungu okuva mu kitongole kya URA fufa wamu n'abakulembeze ba disitulikiti y'e Luweero beetabye ku mukolo ogw'okutema evvuunike mu kifo ttiimu ya URA wegenda okuzimba ekisaawe gali kwoleka. Ekifo kino kisangibwa Bugema mu disitulikiti y'e Luweero. Ssentebe wa URA-FC Ali Sekatawa agamba nti ekisaawe kino kyakubamalako obuwumbi 2.5 bwe kinatuukira okutegekerwamu emipiira. Wadde nga okukizimba kwa kumala emyaka 5, Sekatawa agamba nti omwaka guno bwe gunaggweerako nga batandise okukitendekerwamu.
Myaka 5 okweyongera mu maaso, ttiimu ejja kuba ya wano, ejja kuba erina abawagizi ate ejja kuba nnene nnyo. Tusobole okweyongerayo okuwamba nga bwe tulina plan nti ffe tusinga ttiimu ku Africa wano mu myaka egyeyongera mu maaso.
Ye Patrick Mukiibi akiikiridde ennankulu wa URA Allen Kagina agamba nti ekisaawe kino kyakuyamba omupiira mu ggwanga okukulaakulana wamu n'abatuuze abakyetoolodde.
Tusuubira nti ne mu community eno tuyinza okufuna ku baana abavuddeyo, abaana abagenda mu university, abaana abalina talanta gye tulabye nti esobola okuvaamu eggwanga lino neriganulwa mu ngeri gye bazannyamu.
Bwe kinaaba kiwedde ekisaawe kino kyakutuuza abantu emitwalo 2.5 era nga kyakubeerako ne wooteeri, eddwaliro wamu n'essomero ly'omupiira. Sam Mpoza, NTV.
Sandi agadde olunaku olw'enkya ate osubwe kunyeenya matabi nga weekwasa embeera y'obudde. Kati ketulabe entebeeza y'obudde y'olunaku olw'enkya ogimanye.
New Mortin Doom Power Guard. Nothing kills faster and keeps killing for longer. New Mortin Doom Power Guard. Nothing kills faster and keeps killing for longer.
NTV kusawemo ekito ekitava ku Ssengejero kye bayita Wankindo. N'olw'enkya tuli ffenna nze Patrick Mukasa. Sula bulungi weeraba.
NTV, turning on your world.
Smelling nice and being tough can go together. The freshness of fabric conditioner is now combined with the best ever stain removal of Omo. New Omo, best ever stain removal with fabric conditioner freshness.
Power theft can not only cause destruction of properties and power outages, but can also lead to death. Speak up and report power theft. It's a crime and affects everyone. Let's unite against power theft and save lives.
Real deal. Get the 300 ml Coke, Fanta and Sprite now at only 800 shillings.
Today's highlight with
New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
That woman won't rest until she destroys the Suarez family.
I need to see the woman in the burqa, Fatima.
This love will always protect you from everything. If anybody tries to hurt you, they'll have to kill me.
Tell me you didn't dare call Ricardo.
So what if I did?
She's not who they made you think she was.
My mom always wants what's best for us. That's why she uses new geisha with extracts from nature. New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
This is NTV. This program is rated PG. It is suitable for children ages 8 and above, but parental guidance is advised as it might contain mild violence and mature situations.
Today on Unbeatable Banzuke, we pay a visit to Bonsai 90, where teams are throwing themselves into the action. And in a never-before-seen Nakama event, pick your teammate carefully. One wrong move, and they'll drag you down.
Welcome to Japan's legendary temple.
This is NTV.
And I know that you and Kathy will look after each other. And no matter how far away I am, you will always be in my heart. I'll see you again.
Pa and I are going to Pennsylvania to see my sister and her husband. Who are you going to visit? We're not visiting anyone. We're going to live with my grandpa and grandma. You're leaving home? My pa was the sheriff at Tetsford Junction. He got himself killed a couple years back. Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Father with every year. Do you think so, Grandma?
I really do, sweetie. I bet you're hot and thirsty. There's fresh churned buttermilk inside.
All right.
Oh. Welcome home, Missy. It's good to be home, Mama.
All right, let's see what you do now.
compilation.
Yeah, right. King.
Somebody's been practicing.
Yes, I have.
Your father found you a house in town. It's small and it needs some work, but it's near the school and the rent is reasonable. Good. For my teacher's pay, I can't afford much. I really wish you'd reconsider staying with us. At least for a little while.
Do you need the help, Mama?
No.
I really appreciate you and Papa wanting to help me and Maddie. But I need to stand on my own 2 feet right now. Maddie needs to see that even though his daddy's gone, he still has one parent strong enough to take care of him. The other day, Maddie asked me what color his father's eyes were. Couldn't remember.
Maddie might forget details like that. But he won't forget the things his father did with him, or the things Willie taught him.
I'm starting to forget little things about Willie, too. Like that last morning, when we said goodbye. Did I kiss him? I think I did, but I don't remember. It's only been...
Maddie, you'll remember the things that mattered. Like how much you and Willie loved each other.
Oh, no one will ever love me that way again. And I will never love anyone else. I can't imagine being truly happy again.
That's how I felt when my first husband died. And then I met your father.
See, I feel if I were to love Willie in some way,
Willie would want you to be happy.
It's gonna take a little bit of work, but I can help you out with that, Missy.
it's all right, Pa. It's gonna be just fine. Daddy, look what I found. It's our Christmas star. I promise you, Maddie, I will make this into a nice place.
It won't be like home, though.
Do you know what makes a house a home?
No.
Home is where you'll always have a place, where you will always feel loved, and where you will never, ever be alone. It might not seem like it now, Maddie, but this place will come to feel like home. Come here.
O Lord, how manifold are your works. We thank you for the sun and the rain, which help nourish the crops and help them grow into sustenance for our minds and bodies. In wisdom you have made them all. Amen.
Amen.
I have an announcement. I received this notice from the Children's Aid Society of New York, and it says, "Wanted, homes for children. A company of homeless children from the East will arrive on Friday. These children are of various ages and of both sexes, having been thrown friendless upon the world. We seek good homes with decent families who will love them as their own." Distribution of these children will take place right here at the church. I know I can count on all of you to open your hearts to these precious children of God. God bless you all.
Pastor Joe.
Hi. Well, I've heard a lot about you, Missy.
Oh, well, good, I trust.
Father thinks the world of you. Seems we're neighbors. My husband and I are just 2 farms away from your new house.
All right, see you tomorrow morning.
Pastor?
Oh, Mrs. Pest.
Morning, Sheriff.
We should miss you at Sunday services today. Come on now. Clara. He should be coming, honey. Well, that's his choice now. I know. We'll see you.
Bye. Sheriff Tyler couldn't be bothered to attend church again.
Well, he's pretty busy keeping the peace.
Sunday.
We should be going, Mrs. Pettis.
Well, it looks like your husband had a reason for not showing his face in church as well.
Thank you. There is much work to be done on the farm, and we can't afford hired help. If my husband...
Ma'am, I'm Sheriff Tyler.
Hello, Sheriff. I'm Mrs. LaHaye. Maddie.
Maddie. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mrs. LaHaye.
You spoil him. Of course I do. It's my job as a grandma. So tell me more about this orphan train Pastor Joe was talking about.
Then I get to have a brother or sister.
No.
But all my friends have a bunch of brothers and sisters. But since Kathy died, I've had none. I'm sorry, Mom.
It's good to talk about her. We don't want to forget her, right?
Look, children.
Stand so close. But I'm scared, Lindy. I told you, get away from me. Folks don't want a brother and sister.
Mrs. LaHaye?
Oh, Sheriff.
You gonna take one of these kids?
No. I was just passing by and I thought I would stop in and see how it was going.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. These children are putting their faith in the kindness of strangers like you. Let's begin with Alice Moore. Alice, you want to come up here next to me? Alice is 7 years old. She was orphaned when her parents died in an influenza epidemic.
She's the same age as Lily was when we lost her. Do you think that we can...
May we take Alice aside and get acquainted with her, Pastor?
You certainly may. Why don't you go with these nice folks? Jonas Sykes is 9 years old. His parents were killed 3 years ago in a fire.
Oh, he's such a nice boy.
Ruth Lind is 5 years old. Park Orphanage as an infant.
Well, I'm sure, sir. Let's do it.
Hello.
Next is Belinda Marshall. She's 14 years old.
We need a boy.
Boy's too young and scrawny. She's older. She looks like she could handle herself on a farm.
I'll look her over, Pastor. See if she might. Open your mouth.
Why?
I want to make sure you're healthy. Well, you're spirited, huh? That's all right. Means you're tough. You'll be a good worker. We'll take her.
I'm not going with you. You smell. You probably haven't had a bath for a year.
Watch your mouth, girl. She's incorrigible.
He looks healthy enough. He'll grow into a good farm hand.
That isn't the point, Hank.
I thought the point was to find homes for these youngins. Anyone else here want them?
If he comes with us, he gets a decent home with plenty of good food. And I'll see he comes to church.
The choice is yours, Jacob. You don't have to go with him. Would you rather go back to the orphanage?
No.
All right, then. Sign a paper, Sheriff.
Come here, boy. Come on. Let's go. Come on.
Unless someone can find...
Oh, my house is small. There's barely enough room for me and Maddie. I'm the school teacher here, and I have a little boy. I can't offer you much or bought dresses, but treat you kindly. Okay? I'll take that as a yes.
This is Belinda Marshall. She's going to be living with us.
For how long? Just till I'm old enough to leave, not a day longer.
For the foreseeable future. And we'll leave it at that for now.
You can put your things over here. I'll make up a bed over here and I'll hang some curtains around it for some privacy.
No. It's too dirty and there's lots of broken down old furniture and stuff.
I don't care. I'll fix it up myself.
Maddie, will you go over to Mrs. Hudson's and ask her if we can borrow her spare mattress? Just for a while.
Belinda, I would like for you to stay in the house with me and Maddie.
Why? Because this is your home now, Belinda, and we're your family.
You're not my family. I've got a papa back in New York. He'll be coming for me as soon as he gets a job. I won't be staying here long, so I don't think I will.
This should do for now.
At least until it turns cold. Is that your family Bible? Is something your parents gave you?
No. We each got one at the orphanage.
Have you read much of it? Maybe we could read a passage tonight after supper.
No. No grade.
I mean, in New York, what's the last grade that you finished?
First.
That's as far as you've gotten in school?
I had work to do. There was no time for school.
Belinda, can you read?
What if I can't? Doesn't matter. Don't need to know how to read to sweep a floor, bake biscuits, or wash clothes.
But books open up a whole world to you. They teach you things like how much an African elephant weighs, or how Betsy Ross came to make the first flag.
And why would I need to know any of those things?
Well, it's not just facts and history. There are stories that touch your heart. And books can take you anywhere. You could, in the court of Queen Elizabeth.
I'm going outside. Grandma! Grandpa!
Hey! Hey there.
Mama, Papa, this is Belinda.
Welcome to the family, Belinda.
We hope that you'll come to think of us as your grandparents.
I'm not your granddaughter.
We're not trying to take the place of your other grandparents. We just think a child can't have too many people who love her.
Do you have grandparents back in New York?
No, and I don't need none either.
Well, I think it's just about time to sit down to supper.
Belinda.
What?
We say grace first, Belinda.
Of course I do. We had to pray over our food at the orphanage. I don't know why.
No, it's important. We're very fortunate. A lot of people go hungry.
I bet I know that a lot better than you do.
Let's bow our heads. Pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for everything that you have given us. Especially for the new member of our family, Belinda. Amen.
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 Let's go.
We're gonna go play with the puppies down in the barn. Do you wanna come?
No.
Well, if you change your mind, you're more than welcome to.
I'll beat you to the barn.
For the life of me, I don't know what possessed me to take in that child. I sure didn't need any.
Then why did you?
I didn't intend to. But when I rode past the church that day, something stopped me. And then when I heard Pastor Joe say, "Will someone take this child?" It was as if another voice came out of me saying, "I will."
Maybe it was another's voice.
You think God was speaking through me?
I think God knew that Belinda needs you. Understand yet? You need her.
I think he makes a nice hat.
Snowball.
There you go.
This is NTV.
Good evening and welcome to Life Stories. Last week, Life Stories was previewed by Chiza Besige, who took us through an interesting story as we examined his other side of life. And today, we're glad to continue with the doctor as he takes us through his bushwa experience and his family life. I'm Zuena Masali, your host. Thanks for joining us. He is widely known for walk to work and his endless battles with Ugandan police. Physician, politician, former rebel, and military officer, the now most famous Ugandan opposition leader is who we unveil on this episode of Life. Only this time, we focus on his other side of existence not so many have bothered to know. You had a very, very good job at Aga Khan Hospital. Why the sudden change to politics?
Before I get into Aga Khan, I was not destined to go to Aga Khan. I was at Mulago. The reason I went to Aga Khan is that I was arrested in 1981, soon after Museveni attacked Kabamba and started the war, because we had supported him in the election of 1980. So when he started the war, I think those in the government started looking for those who had been active in support of him. And thought that maybe we either knew about those plans or were in some ways involved in supporting what he was doing. So I was arrested, I was tortured for a long time. Eventually when I was released, I was not sure whether I would. Many people I was with in prison have never been seen again. And so I decided to escape. I had been asked to report after my release. I decided it was too dangerous, so I escaped to Nairobi. So when I got to Nairobi, I had nothing to do but to register and work in Nairobi, and that's how I got to Aga Khan. But, you know, I went to Nairobi an angry man. What I had left in Uganda was appalling and infuriating, that after we had survived Amin and our hopes raised, that now this is what we had harvested.
An innocent man going to jail.
Yes, and not just going to jail, being tortured and many of the others being killed. You know, so I went to Nairobi. But my mind now was saying the war against this government is justified. If this is what is happening now, and so while at Aga Khan, you know, I was not settled. My mind was still here. And most of the leaders who had supported Museveni in the elections of 1980, or UPM as a party, had fled to Nairobi. So I had the active interaction with all those. In fact, they had set up an external committee there, headed by Matthew Chikaire. And so it was at that time. It was Mr. Sam Unjuba, who that time was part of that external committee, who eventually organized for me and joined the bush. And that is how I came back and went to the bush.
You got different positions, like high positions in the government at a very, very tender age. How did it feel for you?
Well, I must say that I think because of my unique upbringing and experience, I had all along been more mature than my age. In all the stages of my development, I think I had been thrust at that time. I was appointed minister in the government with the important responsibility in internal affairs, and later on in the president's office. And I was the national political commissar, heading the NRM secretariat and NRM political program at the time. And I think what this meant at a personal level is that it deprived me of living an ordinary life as a young man. Because now I was owned by these state functions, so to say. So I had to live up to the tasks that were thrust on me. It was no longer possible to socialize as I should have as a young person, and to freely interact and to have time on my hands to hang out and live as ordinary people of that age would live. I was living between meetings and taking action, moving, and real serious responsibilities at a young age, and I think that has unfortunately continued for most of my life. I also became rather anxious about where we were going as a new government much earlier than most, because I had that advantage that, having come from the bush that we had, that I was in government, in a cabinet, and I was seeing some of the beginnings of very frightening things creeping up.
Given chance, he didn't waste any opportunity to do his best. The results were a total reward, with his rebel group turning to a ruling government. To everybody's astonishment, he came up to contest against his long-term ally and colleague Yoweri Museveni during the 2001 elections. Their relationship has become an estranged one ever since. Short break, and when we return, the doctor takes us through his plans for retirement. Do not miss.
This is NTV.
Thanks for keeping it with us on NTV Life Stories. We now continue with the doctor as he tells us how unique and different their political agenda was going to be, since he had quite an experience with the past regimes.
Yes, I had lived through these governments that had affected our country were clear to me. And in those early years, you know, I started seeing these dangers creeping in. And it really made me quite anxious. And I started, you know, questioning how come, you know, this thing is happening this way? How come, you know, we are tolerating this? How come? And at the time I was indeed possibly naive, because I believed that we were, the assumption that I operated under was that we were all with the same objectives and well-intentioned. And yeah, so it didn't take long before, you know, I was rudely awakened from that kind of imagination, and you know, realized the actual reality that we were living in, and that indeed all of us, while we were in the bush and suffered and many people died, that we had completely different aspirations, different objectives. It became very clear to me earlier than most when we were in government.
Right about now, we're entering the beautiful Rukungiri district. Join me as we pay a visit to Dr. Chiza Besige's ancestral home, where he was born and raised. Like a true African son, retired Colonel Chiza Besige has surely not forgotten his roots. About 5 kilometers from Rukungiri Trading Center is Besige's exquisite country home. Just adjacent to his ancestral is his magnificent house. This house where Besige was raised has been in existence for over 60 years and is still as intact. With a flash of delight, he shows us around. The vintage furniture inside is still decent, and the shocker is the bed on which he was born is still as good.
Actually, this is where I was born.
He continues to take us around the land on which he went to school. His primary school still does exist, and as we go forward, we keep gaining followers on our trail. It's only evident that people here celebrate their own, and his uncle can attest to this. You being an uncle to Dr. Besige, tell us a little bit of who Besige was then, as a young boy.
Besige was born 1956.
Okay.
His father is called Fefe Moses, and the mother, Marion Fefe. So when he grew up, he was a very good child who was brought up by a teacher. The mother was a teacher and the father was a policeman. So he grew in a family which was a bit okay.
A decent family.
A decent family.
Okay.
So from there he went to school. After P7, he went to Kitante hill school. So he stayed with his uncle. He's my elder brother at Chira Road police station. That's where they were residing. Then after 1 year, he got a room in Bugorobe hostel. Then up to S4.
How was he as a child then? Was he friendly to other children around him?
He was a very good, intelligent child.
Okay.
And friendly to almost everybody.
I can see even up to now he's still a friendly man.
Yes. Then, you know, his parents died when he was still young. So, he's the one who managed to look after his father's properties and look after his young brothers and sisters.
What do you think about the current Besigye now?
Current Besigye now is a man who can push things, go forward.
And what do you think of him as a leader if he ever becomes president of Uganda? What should we expect from him?
I know Besigye if he becomes a president of Uganda. He's not a man of, he's not a greedy person. He's satisfied with what he has.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That's all we had from Mr. Mperechi Jonathan, an uncle to Dr. Chiza Besigye. We'll now slope down and see his farm and also visit his ancestral home. As we head for the farm, we pass by the graveyard and we pay our respects to the deceased.
So, yeah, this is my dad's. Born 1915, died 68. So this one is of my mom.
Okay.
And that one is also of another grand. And this one is my daughter. Yeah.
She was called Carol.
Abdi Carol. So this is our farmland going up there.
We proceed to the plantations and ranch. The healthy breed of cattle is gracefully grazing. What brings you here if you're to come here?
Family functions. Sometimes I come for political work, to have meetings, political meetings. Sometimes it is, you know, funerals of friends and relatives. But all in all, I don't think I come maybe at most I come 6 times a year. So it's not often that I come here now.
Okay. Do you ever think of coming back to stay home and leave the hustle of Kampala and the tear gas?
Well, definitely I intend to retire. Well, I hope that it can be soon. I would have retired if Mr. Museveni had not chosen to submission of democratizing Uganda. I had been pressing to retire not only from the army, but to retire to my private life. And so I hope now anyway, even age will not allow me to stay out there for long. I don't intend to hang in town till I'm 90s. Okay. So I hope to retire back to our village at some stage, yeah.
And how about farming? Is this a passion you have to do, or you do it for commercial purposes?
Actually, a bit of both. It's, I think, a good way to earn, but it's also gratifying to see things that you plan to grow, or to see animals that you rear, produce, and grow in front of you. It gives a sense. It has a sense of satisfaction.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the bottom line is we also want to get something from it. It's not just a hobby. Okay. Yeah, powers, they refuse to extend power. In spite of being in the municipality, we have.
This is NTV.
Welcome back from that break. You're still watching Life Stories. Juggling between career and family is tricky. It takes a man of passion and resilience to manage both. With his popular unending battles with police and government, how he manages to still be a father and husband is what makes him a hero. We continue with Life Stories. You got married to your beautiful wife, Winnie Yanyima. How did you meet?
Well, I first met Winnie in Makerere when she came to study engineering there. She was there quite briefly, and she was a friend of my friends. And so, you know, I knew this was Winnie Byanyima. I didn't get to have any kind of relationship with her then. She later on turned up in 1985 when we were in Masaka, advancing towards Kampala. And she, from Nairobi, where there had been peace talks at the time, I think she had been taking part in that process of the peace talks. So that was the second time that we met. And while actually when she came, actually she, I think, was not, I think she was not quite familiar with our tough environment. She became unwell and we had a chat then. We met was now when we were in government. She was Kampala and came to Kampala to participate in that conference. And it was at that conference. It was in, I think, 91. And our friendship grew. While she was in France, I went and visited her in France. That time I had left government. I was in Masaka, commanding the mechanized regiment. And yeah, then she decided to come back in 1993 to contest for the Constituent Assembly. And so this was a better opportunity to know each other better. And we became more and more friendly. Yeah. And, yes, and the rest is friendly.
How is it you being a husband and a father?
Well, again, I think I haven't been either of those things in a traditional sense. And yeah, our son was born also in 1999. It was a time that I think our troubles with the government were intensifying. It was the same year in 1999 that I wrote that document that started my drift into the opposition. You know, so throughout from 1999 up to now, I have been living in a very tumultuous time. And so we have really not had time to settle down as family, as husband and father and so on, because in 2001, I went into exile for 4 years while they remained here, and later on went to Cape Town, and later on went to Ethiopia, where Winnie was employed at the African Union. So by the time I came back to Uganda in 2005, Winnie was in Ethiopia with ancestral. In 2007, she moved from Ethiopia. In 2006, in fact, she moved from Ethiopia to New York.
And all this time you're here?
Yes. She's been in New York for 6 years while I'm here. She's now moved to UK.
Wow.
Yeah, so most of our relationship has been on the internet. Yeah. Again.
And she gets time to come home and see you.
Well, I also get time to go and visit. Yes, I do as much as I can. But you know, so I have not had, you know, the kind of opportunity to continuously, you know, be present and discharge my responsibilities as a father and as a husband. And the reason she left was because it was no longer possible to stay here and raise our, because during the 4 years I was in South Africa, she was in jail, though she was a member of parliament. Policemen were always in her compound and taking her, and this was traumatizing the young boy. And so it was as a result of that she decided to seek employment elsewhere. She didn't complete her term in parliament. She left parliament and they conducted a by-election to fill her post. So it was forced on her to go. Yes. Now, me who is here, I'm sure you know the kind of environment in which I live. So I don't know whether it's the environment you want to attract her to come into. So it's not been by choice that we should live this way. It's the unavoidable kind of situation in which we've been thrust by the situation in our country. We are still optimistic, and that's why we wake up every day to work hard. We believe that things will change. At least we are not able to enjoy our country as we have indeed missed out. At least our children should be able to do so.
Some people out there see you as someone aggressive or tough. What's your take on that?
Well, I think they are right. I'm quite aggressive against evil. I have very, very little compromise with evil, and I don't nurse it and romanticize with it. No, I think if I think there is evil here, I say it as straight as I can and attack it as hard. Never raise my voice against anybody, in my social environment. And, I like to, socialize and laugh and enjoy life. So it's the unfortunate circumstances in which we have had to live and work that have created that kind of image that maybe I'm aggressive. I nonetheless still think, of course, that it has been deliberately, drummed up. I'm never angry myself. And I think if I was angry, I would make mistakes. I am deliberately aggressive on certain things. But that's not anger. Anger is when you have no control. I do everything deliberately and within the confines of decency. If you are opposing a regime like this, you'll be characterized and demonized in all kinds of ways. Doesn't change who you are. And so I believe deep down I'm still the same. Grew up in that village which I told you. And I still cherish exactly the same things. Yeah.
You went through a very difficult time when you were falsely accused of raping a friend's daughter. How did you pull through?
Happily, I must say that it didn't really bother me very much. I think, firstly, because it was patently false, so I was not worried.
I'm glad that was cleared.
Yes, I was not worried at all that, there was something that I needed to, to be worried about. And secondly, is that I was prepared. By the time I was charged, I knew I was going to be charged. I knew I was going to be charged actually before I came from South Africa, because they had tried to use the threat of charging me to frighten me from coming back. So in fact, they sent all this information to me when they heard that I am determined to come back. Said, by the way, we are going to charge you with treason, we are going to charge you with rape, we are going to charge you with this. And I said, yes, and I said, fine, let me come and you charge me, and you show me where those things are. And so I'm glad that indeed I came, and that they tried to carry out their threat, which I think exposed them very badly. I think every seemingly bad experience has a good side to it.
You're a retired colonel. Apart from politics, what else keeps you busy?
What you call politics, which I think is simply, fighting for survival both at a personal and at a national level, has become my full-time calling.
Eating up all your time.
Yes, I would have been farming, my intention had been to farm, and I have some, infrastructure for that, both here and in my village, in Rukunjiri, but I can't deceive you that I farm. I wanted to do business. Like I told you, I have been keen to sell fuel like my father and to do business. But I can't tell you that I really do business. Because even if I wanted to, I simply can't. As you see, I'm not free to leave my home whenever I want to. I'm not free to go downtown if I want to, and to walk the city and to do whatever I want to do. So I live a very strange life that has deprived me of the normal things that any person or any Ugandan should be doing.
How does it feel that you now have a broken relationship with a person who was once a very good friend of yours?
Well, I must say that I had never conceived my relationship with Mr. Museveni as a person of friendship. It was a working relationship, and we had had a very good working relationship, both in the bush and subsequently. And, he was much older than me. We had grown in we had come from very different backgrounds. So we were united by the cause that we were pursuing then. And I had grown to respect him and to trust him. And that was the basis of the good working relationship that we had. Unfortunately, both these were real. And it's sad, just like in any other situation where you trust and respect somebody and only to find that what you thought was not the case. It's hurtful, but those are the realities of life. I have no, ill feelings against him as a person. I think he has weaknesses as a person that have led him to act the way he has. But, I have no ill feelings towards him as a person.
Okay. Where do you see Uganda in the next 10 years?
Unpredictable, because there are many variables. A lot will depend on what Ugandans are able to do, whether they are able to wake up to the challenge that they face and do what they ought to do to regain their country. So there are many things I think that are still fluid. But what I can say is that whatever the case, will only influence whether we have change quickly or whether it is delayed. But the change will come.
How hopeful are you?
Sooner or later, Ugandans will take charge of their destiny. That they will be able to reconstruct their country in a way that creates opportunity for everybody, equal opportunity for everybody. That immense resources benefit the public in an equitable way. That public goods are again developed, that we can have hospitals, that we can have a viable education system that produces people with skills. My core and my duty is to tell Ugandans to wake up and to take, their responsibility, their duty of having a country under their charge very seriously. And I'm encouraged by what I see. I think ordinary people are really awake now. Most people are awake. The missing link, actually, is the leadership. And so there will be a revolution here. And things will change. I would wish that it was a non-violent revolution, because a violent revolution has a lot of cost. But that will, as I have said, depend on what the regime, the people in the regime do. We'll wait and see.
What's that one thing that people don't know about you that you want the public to know?
Well, really, I don't know the one thing. I think you know, everything that I am is more or less known. But I guess the public believes that I have such a strong hostility towards Museveni and what is that is not true. Some of Museveni's relatives have been my closest friends before we broke up and have continued being up to now, including some of his close relatives. And we get on very well, though now sometimes we have to talk outside the knowledge of government. Political differences can be there, but they need not, you know, tear apart personal. Yeah, they shouldn't tear apart personal relationships that people have.
Do you ever have fun and recreational moments with your family without bringing in politics?
Oh yes, as I have said, not as much as we would have loved to, but from time to time we take holidays. We go out and
Out of Uganda.
Out of Uganda. Okay. Even in Uganda.
You go dancing?
Yeah. Do you know where I go?
No.
Africo. I go to Africo.
I just wish you had an extra activity.
Yeah.
Like I would love to.
I go to Africo, and as soon as the journalists know I'm there, they come, then I leave. I never let them catch me on a photograph there. The last time I was there, I was dancing up to 2.
Sometimes we go to Mwea or to some other place and, you know, relax and look at nature and, you know, and enjoy ourselves as family. Even outside where they are, sometimes I join them and we enjoy ourselves. The other Christmas, we had a lovely time in New York. We danced the whole night and no, at home. Yeah, so yeah, there are moments when we are not, you know, encumbered and thinking about the troubles around us.
I must really applaud you. At first, when I used to see you on TV and everything, as I said before, I see, like other people, I see you as someone very aggressive. But I must say, when I met you, you really welcomed us so well. Thank you so much. You're a down-to-earth person. That's what I should say. That's my opinion.
You're most welcome. Well, of course, as I have said, there has been a deliberate misrepresentation of what I am. I guess people who have interacted with me make their own judgments.
Yes, but that's my judgment. Thank you so much for it.
Most welcome.
We may all have known him mostly for his politics and battles with the incumbent government. This for many has left a mark of a tough and stubborn individual. On the contrary, he is as human as all of us. He is a son, husband, and father. It could be circumstances that label him different, We hope from a different perspective, you can now make your own judgment. Perseverance and dedication are two words that describe the now retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. Though retired from the army, he still goes on to pursue his political career. Nonetheless, he is still a dedicated father and husband. It's from people like him that we learn not to give up, but rather stay true to our dreams and ambitions. Until next week, I stay yours truly, Zuena Chirema Sali.
You will manage.
Hey, Masagarao.
You people.
This is NTV.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Kitchen Delight. It is Henry again, your chef here today, and I'm very, very happy and honored to be sharing your afternoon with you this Sunday. Today, I'm cooking with shell gas, and guess what? Ever since I began cooking with shell gas, my pans keep clean because shell gas has got no steam or soot or that smoke that messes up the pans, and you have to clean all the time. And that is the beauty about shell gas. And of course, I want to appreciate Wansang Furniture for making sure that my kitchen comes your way beautiful as you see it. And remember, everything you see on Kitchen Delight, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it. Of course, from my kitchen to your kitchen, all you have to do is copy and paste. Now, today's meal is a very, very interesting meal because it involves a very limited time of cooking, only 10 minutes of cooking, and of course, very interesting ingredients. As you can see, I'm working out my cassava here. Just peeled. This is a tuber or a root food. We all know cassava, it's grown all over Uganda or cutting across. And the meal today, I decided to choose something that we are all familiar with and we can easily acquire or get from wherever we are, any part of the country, any part of the region you are, you can get the cassava. Of course, I have avocado here. I'm going to use avocado as a serving dish and of course as a sauce. And then I have papaya. I have cashew nuts. Cashew nuts are not grown in Uganda. They are grown, I think, in some parts of Kenya, but especially in Tanzania. So I'll have that. I'm going to use some passion here. And of course, a few other interesting ingredients here on Kitchen Delight. And remember, everything here on Kitchen Delight is very easy on your wallet, easy on the eye, easy to shop for, easy to prepare. It is easy all the way. So I'll peel my cassava and make sure I cut out all these threads that can be a little not good when you're eating. Put my pan here. Now, even if you clean your cassava and you peel it, it's always advisable and wise that you give it a wash, you know, before it goes on the fire. I think I'll need some more. And if you can see, if you are paying close attention, I'm having them almost in the same sizes, such that the cooking time is the same and they cook at the same time. You don't want some of it to be cooked and some of it to be half cooked, some to be hard and some is very soft. No. I'll wash it before I cut it to pieces. Of course, you have to be very careful. I've always advised you to have a sharp knife in your kitchen, but when you're cutting cassava or doing such things like this, you need to be very careful to avoid accidents in your kitchen. And you know, the thing about today's meal is that it's very easy to prepare. And if you have friends coming over or it's a family, and you don't want to spend so much time in the kitchen, you want to do something, or you can actually, the beauty about it is that you can work together as a family. Somebody can be peeling the cassava, another person is working on the avocado. So I put my cassava here, I just need to pick some salt. I want to put like just a little bit, like half a tablespoon, so you can flavor your cassava and make sure it is not stale when it is ready to eat. Turn on my fire. So what I'm going to do now, as my cassava is going here, I want to embark on my juice. And in my juice today, very simple, very easy, and very interesting. I have a papaya here, or a pawpaw. Now this pawpaw is a red pawpaw. I chose a red one in particular because of the flavor that it gives off compared to the other yellow one, the ordinary or the usual one that we know. And of course I'm going to use some passion here, plenty of passion. So I'm going to use passion, papaya and lime, and I call it a passionate papaya. And meanwhile, my cassava here is going, and that is all there is for cooking in this meal. That is what I love about Kitchen Delight. We are all about creativity and imagination. And remember, I've always told you here on Kitchen Delight that you will always be limited in your kitchen by your imagination or your creativity. So you see beautiful, creamy and juicy as you see it. This is what we're going to use today in our juice. So make sure I cut all of them. And as I told you, it's all about your imagination. It's all about what you think about, how you want it to come out. And I've also told you here on Kitchen Delight that, you know, when you're cooking food for people, sometimes your meals will always depend on the kind of people that you're hosting. You know, some people are very crazy and you know, outgoing and jumpy, and you want to make for them a grill outside there. Or some people are just gracious and easy and calm. You want to make for them something sweet and delicious and calm, you know. But this kind of meal is a meal that you want to, like a quick fix, or it's a weekend and you want to impress your family, or your friends are coming over, your girlfriends, or even sometimes if you came and the house help is not there, she went away, or maybe she fell sick or something, and you want to prepare something and put a signature on it, you know, something out of the usual, something out of the normal, because usually avocado is always mashed or served with onions, you know, served in different ways. But something I'm going to do, and imagination. And remember, everything you see on Kitchen Delight, you can copy and paste, you know. Just a little bit of water to quicken and simplify the work for my blender. And remember, everything you see on Kitchen Delight, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you're going to get it. Now what we're doing here, I'm making a juice in case you're just joining us. I've put passion here. I have plenty of lime here that I'm going to incorporate in my juice. And of course, I'm going to use a red papaya. That is all that we shall have for our juice. And then we shall make our tangy avocado, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Okay. Now, even as I'm embarking on my juice here, I want to take a very short break. When we come back from the break, we're going to finish off our cassava, our tangy avocado, and of course, the best part of the show. But before that, I want to appreciate Shell Gas for making sure Kitchen Delight comes your way. And remember, if you're looking for something affordable, reliable, and available, the blue cylinder is the way to go. That is for shell gas, and that is the best I can tell you. And of course, One Sun Furniture for making sure that Kitchen Delight looks beautiful and elegant as you see it. We take a short break. When we come back, we finish off our meal, and you will love it. Hello everyone, welcome back from the break. It is again Kitchen Delight, and I'm so excited and so happy that you're watching this show and you're part of it. And remember, I'm cooking with shell gas, the best gas around, and of course One Sun Furniture. Now, when we went for the break, we were making our juice. Now, this is my passion. I'm making a passionate papaya. That is the name of the juice. Passion juice. You can use any passion of your choice. You can use the yellow passion or the ordinary usual ones. And here, as you can see, I'm using a red papaya or a red purple. That's why you see this beautiful color that is coming out here. And of course, I'm going to incorporate it with some lime just to give it flavor and lightness. So I will pour my... Now, as you can see my juice here, it is passionate or passion and papaya. And of course, I'm going to finish it off with lime and it will be good to go. What I'm having here, that bubble that you hear, it is my cassava here that is going. And actually, I should be turning it off now. It must be ready. 10 minutes. I told you this meal has only 10 minutes of cooking. And cooking cassava or steaming it, that is all there is for us to cook. Now, avocado. Something interesting and something, you know, unusual here on Kitchen Delight is that we're going to use avocado. And the beauty about this avocado, even as I'm cutting it, is that it helps in the rebuilding of our skin because it has a rich provision of potassium. Now, when you cut it, just make sure you're very neat on cutting it. As you can see, there's a stone or the seed in here. Now, the easy and simple way to remove it is you get your knife and do like that, and then pull it out like that. It doesn't get any better than that. That is why I love Kitchen Delight. Now I have my avocado cut here. Take the stone out in my trash can. Cut another one, just like that. And when you're cutting, just make sure you're neat such that it meets at the other end of your cutting. So, just like that. And then I told you the technique of the stone. Just hit, twist a bit, and it's out. Ah, that is Kitchen Delight. Now I need to wash my hands a bit. So now I've always told you that such fruits like avocado and bananas, when you cut them and expose them to air or to oxygen, they tend to lose their natural color. So to stop the decoloring or stopping our avocado from turning its color, what you're going to do is I'm going to cut a lemon and just squeeze a lemon over. Just squeeze a lemon, just lemon juice over all the avocado, just to stop it from losing its green color, because you don't want by the time you serve the avocado to turn brown, you know, look a little dirty and not organized. So just sprinkle lime over, rather lemon, just to stop it from decoloring. Of course, as you can see, there's some seeds that are falling over, so you just need to pour those out. So the purpose of the lemon juice is to stop the avocado from turning from green to either brown or another color. That is why now the next thing I want to do is from my store here. Oops, I have some ketchup. I have some Tabasco sauce. I have some sauce here, and that is pretty much that I'm going to need. Of course, I'm going to finish it off with fresh parsley here, and of course some nuts. So now I want you to pay very close attention, because what we're going to do here is something very simple, very easy, but if you don't pay attention, you may mess it up. Now, when you get our ketchup, because this is going to serve as a dish, and at the same time, it's going to serve as a delicacy to come along with our cassava. So shake the ketchup. So you know each takes 2, that is 2, 3, 4, 5, And maybe just one more, just to make sure I have enough. All right, so now you can see this is ketchup. You can use TS, but ketchup for me is the best because it has that, it's rich in flavor. Now I have some topatillo or Tabasco sauce, or you can use pepper of your choice, or you can use even chili sauce. But you have to be very, very careful because you don't want to put so much. You want just a little tanginess that comes from the Tabasco sauce or the chili sauce or the pepper that you're using. So the combination of this, the bitterness or the sourness, the heat actually that comes from the hot sauce or the chili, together the avocado and the ketchup, that's what makes it tangy and very delicious. So just sprinkle like 2 tablespoons. Oops. Enough. And remember,
at only 800 shillings.
NTV, turning on your world.
Good evening, this is NTV Weekend Edition. In the news tonight, a health centre 2 in Kitgum district is forced to close after the only health worker there goes on maternity leave. Details coming up a little later on. For now, it's a quick look at the stories making headlines tonight. 10 dead and more than 25 injured in Toroko district as a UPDF soldier randomly opens fire after a bar brawl.
Now, a health center 2 in Kitgum has been closed because the only staff there went on maternity leave. I am Moses Akena to give you details of that story.
Could it be possible that many Ugandans are now undergoing plastic surgery? Or is it true that some of these complicated procedures are now taking place here in Uganda? Well, I'm Suhail Mugabi and I'll be bringing you the story to answer those questions.
You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
Good evening once again. I am Rukshana Namwimba. In a top story tonight, a UPDF officer in Ntoroko district has shot dead 10 people and injured 25 others in a crime of passion. The shooting took place last night at a bar in Karugutu Town Council after the soldier was involved in a fight with border cyclists over a woman.
A UPDF officer, Krista Manyiri, attached to Chankanzi Barracks in Toroko district last night went on rampage and shot dead 10 people and injured another 25.
Very, very unfortunate that our soldier can do such a thing, civilians that he's supposed to protect. We are told that 9 people died in total. He killed himself too. Our officers, our 2nd Division is helping the families, and we will go an extra mile to make sure that our officers and men are told that this is unacceptable.
According to eyewitnesses, the trigger-happy private soldier picked an argument with a group of border cyclists over a woman. A fight ensued as Manyiri was overpowered by the border cyclists. The soldier rushed to the nearby barracks and picked a gun. He ran amok as the soldier fired at anyone in his path. He later on committed suicide. Police says the proprietor of the bar, identified as Islam Chigundu, is on the run. The 11 p.m. incident is amongst a litany of incidents where UPDF officers have turned the barrel of the gun on civilians. In 2009, a Presidential Guard Brigade soldier, Private Julius Muchunguzi, shot 8 people dead at Top Pub in Kampala. In 2012, Lance Corporal Herbert Rachembo, attached to the military police who had returned from Somalia, killed his fiancée and injured 2 others. He is now serving a 30-year jail sentence.
In March 2013, UPDF Private Okotodoch killed 10 people and wounded at least 2 others in a bar with an AK-47 before fleeing. He was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 90 years in prison. In December 2013, Sergeant Robert Okiror, a UPDF soldier attached the 7th Battalion in Kisoro, shot and killed 2 civilians in a bar. In the same month, Patrick Odongo, attached to Mbuya Army Headquarters, shot 3 people in Chinawataka in Nakawa Division. According to Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Paddy Ankunda, UPDF is probing whether post-traumatic stress disorder could be linked to these deaths. Shilandu Huchire, NTV.
A health center 2 in Kitgum district was recently forced to close after the only health worker it had went on maternity leave. The closure of Pawidi Health Center 2 has compelled scores of residents to trek many kilometers to neighboring villages to seek medical attention. Moses Akena reports.
Pawidi Health Center 2 in Lagoro sub-county in Kitgum district is in a deplorable condition. Ruined structures, fecal matter and expired drugs are a common sight at the health center. Just 2 weeks ago, the facility was forced to close after the only health worker went on maternity leave.
We need more health workers because only one person cannot serve everybody.
The health center is supposed to have 9 health workers, but at only 1 midwife, Proscovia Mono. Proscovia was recruited and being paid salary by a Christian humanitarian organization, World Vision.
I started well. The community was now getting used to the health unit, but I can't say it is fortunate or unfortunate that I've delivered.
Now residents are forced to trek many kilometers to neighboring health centers to get even the most basic of drugs.
Was no one working here before Proscovia came. We are now used to getting medication elsewhere.
With no staff, deliveries are often picked by whoever is available, including this one which was picked by a teacher from a neighboring primary school.
They are doing nothing. The DHO, I've ever reported to him on writing. The only reply I could get, he was just telling me that I should leave the issues of generals to solve it. Now it has taken long. I could say this is the 3rd year.
Proscovia is the 2nd staff member to work here since the health center was built in 2012. The first one, who was also recruited by World Vision, is reported to have quit because her salary was not being remitted by the district. The in-charge of Chua Health Sub-District, Thomas Ojok, however, says a new staff has already been recruited to replace Proscovia.
And once this process from the district service get completed, we are going to deploy the minimum staff, which we are going to deploy 4 staff. In addition to our midwife, the nursing assistant, they would be able to run the facility very effectively.
He says they could not recruit because the health ministry had not yet gazetted the facility.
This requires that the district needs to make a submission to the Ministry of Health and especially the Director General of Health Services so that we should be cleared and the facility gazetted.
The family of this elderly man, who is clearly in pain, had to take him to a health center that's 7 kilometers away.
Only
normal day in an ordinary health center, these benches here will be full with patients waiting to be served. But it's a different case here at Pawidi Health Center 2, where the absence of health workers has rendered the facility useless to the residents. Pawidi Health Center 2 was serving 25 villages in the parish, who are now coming to terms with the difficulty that the closure of the facility has brought their way. Moses Akena, NTV Weekend Edition, Kitgum.
In other news, the problem of ghost teachers on the government payrolls appears to be widespread. This comes at the time government sanctioned a forensic audit into the payroll for civil servants to weed out ghost workers.
Simon Mugasha's name appears on the teacher's payroll of Montema Fatima College in Hoima district. Yet there is no teacher at the school by that name.
Mugasha Simon, the name appears to be from within Hoima. I tried to inquire, probably this person could have been posted to the school, but I've never seen him in the school.
Yet this is only a tip of the iceberg.
I've heard about it different as a teacher because I was part of it. I personally was affected. I spent 80 months with that salary. So when I see one person at my school, I know there might be many others, I don't know. Because this case to me up to now is a mystery.
Last year, the Ministry of Public Service decentralized the teachers' payroll. Head teachers are now able to detect ghosts on the payroll, and this is how this case of Montema Fatima College was unraveled.
However, the latest payroll of February, which I have just picked, I also found the same name still existing. This person has a computer number. Now, the challenge to me as a head teacher is one. I've heard of the ghost teachers existing in schools. I wouldn't imagine how someone can access a payroll of a school without my acknowledging that he exists in the school.
Kemara, who is the head teacher at this school, is also one of the teachers' trade union leaders.
I have a case of a teacher who is in my school called Twesige Kiza Sam. He disappeared off payroll in September last year. We have made several attempts to submit, and every month we have been promised that he will appear next month.
He says, whereas secondary schools can now identify ghosts on the payroll, it's not the case with primary schools.
They fear themselves. If you say remove this person, but this person, maybe the DU knows, maybe the personnel, maybe the inspector.
Many teachers, including those who have retired, have not been spared in what appears to be a well-organized crime syndicate. In Kamuli district, a retired teacher spent 1 year without pension. It was later detected that her money was being wired on an account of a ghost teacher.
The retired teacher's money was going into an account which had the similar names of this retired teacher for the whole year. There was a suggestion that this retired teacher who was a victim should now negotiate with the ghost. So we insisted that all these
efforts are being made to free the payroll from any ghosts if at all they were there.
With this exercise, we have been able to discover that there were false civil servants. Those found will be subjected to the rules of law.
Jingo Francis, NTV Weekend Edition.
Moving on, a crested crane in Barara town has caused quite a stir. Bike trailed him wherever he goes.
For those who are overtly superstitious, this incident in Barara could it be an omen or a sign of good luck for Amos Mbarebachi, who was involved in an accident in November last year? To resident Jova Badechere, the presence of this bird, according to fairy tale, could be a blessing for the troubled.
We'll take a short break and return shortly with these stories and so much more. Still to come on Talk of the Nation, shining the spotlight on poor service delivery.
You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
Enjoy a magnificent wildlife experience this Easter season. Uganda Wildlife Authority welcomes you to visit the national parks and enjoy the fascinating range of activities. Gorilla tracking, chimpanzee tracking, boat rides, spectacular falls with over 1,000 species of birds to watch. You will be left breathless. Make this a memorable Easter with friends and family. Uganda Wildlife Authority, conserving for generations.
Habari! Now today we will demonstrate how we test the quality of Duracoat paint. First, we choose our paint at random. And then we place a drop on Duracoat's opacity test pot. Well, as you can see, the Duracoat paint is thick and gives good coverage. But the competitor paint, clearly not as good. Really? Yeah!
You are watching NTV Weekend Edition.
Welcome back. Now, plastic surgery is one of the medical specialties that has been associated with the Western world for many years. But a foreign-based firm has set up shop in Uganda and is ready to change people's appearances to whatever suits them. Sohail Mugabe caught up with the firm's managers and now reports. Return with that report shortly. Now, a month after a senior athlete, Moses Kipsiro, blew the whistle on the sexual harassment scandal targeting female athletes, more murky details of how the coach ensnared his victims are beginning to emerge. The coach, who is under investigations, used money and gifts to lure the young female athletes to his den.
Plastic and cosmetic surgery is something that most Ugandans are accustomed to watching in movies, in reality TV shows showcasing the lavish life of Hollywood celebrities, and also reading about or watching on the
As details of the athlete's sexual harassment scandal continue to unravel, evidence has filtered through on how Coach Peter Wamale sneered his victims. Athletes have given a number of accounts on how the coach, under the pretext of giving help, would lure his victim to fulfilling his insatiable sexual desires.
The coach promised me a tracksuit, and when I reminded him about it, he told me to go to his place in the evening.
He told me, get to evening time. I go.
When I stood my ground rejecting his advances, he called me aside and offered me money, which I also refused to take. And I told my senior male runners.
In one of those incidents, a girl who was promised gifts allegedly visited the home of the coach with a friend after being cautioned. When Wamale saw her, he turned his wrath on the budding athlete. Each of these girls share an account of torment from the coach, ranging from assault and others being forced out of camp.
I'm watching boys.
When the coach realized I had told the boys, he said I'm in love with those boys. One morning, he came and kicked me, and my friends told me, instead of you suffering every day, just go home.
As the scandal continues to reverberate across the Uganda Athletics Federation, the body has tried to maintain political correctness in the face of the damaging scandal. The police's half-hearted measures to bring the culprits to book has emboldened those accused to make rebuttals.
Ugandans and the world over should know that UF does not condone things of that nature. And in all our competitions, we have always advised our athletes, we have advised the coaches, and our advice has always been against indiscipline, against immorality. We have talked about HIV/AIDS, because once an athlete acquires HIV/AIDS, then that his or her career is gone.
We expected that the police would swing in action and investigate the actions of this person. But when we had the meeting, we got the impression that the police were shielding him, because he's the coach for police, and most of these athletes are running for police.
The sex scandal in athletics have left most of the athletes here in Kapchora, and particularly the Sebei region, divided. It's now up to the police and Uganda Athletics Federation officials to make the sport clean. Alfred Odong, NTV.
We apologize for that earlier technical glitch. Now we return to our earlier report where plastic surgery is one of the medical specialties that has been associated with the Western world for many years. But a foreign-based firm has set up shop in Uganda and is ready to change people's appearances to whatever suits them. Sohail Mugabe caught up with the firm's managers and now reports.
Plastic and cosmetic surgery is something that most Ugandans are accustomed to watching in movies, in reality TV shows, Plastic and cosmetic surgery is something that most Ugandans are accustomed to watching in movies, in reality TV shows showcasing the lavish life of Hollywood celebrities, and also reading about or watching on the internet when something has actually gone wrong. But what if these procedures are actually taking place here in Uganda? Plastic surgery is a medical procedure that people undergo to change their appearance. Some of the surgeries are carried out to reconstruct a patient's body after getting disfigured or suffering a serious burn. Examples of such procedures include the bariatric surgery, which involves reducing unwanted fat from the body through sucking out the fat or inserting a stomach band, breast enlargement or reduction, having a facelift or use of Botox to reduce the facial wrinkles. Rhinoplasty, which is also commonly known as nose shaping, is also one of them, and many others.
It's a way of people to overcome their shyness, any issues they might have, and to make themselves feel better. For the bariatric surgery, it should be noted it's not purely a cosmetic service, that's why it's a bit different.
Obesity, there are so many other bodily diseases, like top of the range is diabetes, high blood pressure, and cholesterol level, and your joint pains.
All procedures are complicated and should be done carefully by experts to avoid any complications. According to the doctors who carry out these surgeries, Ugandans have begun undergoing the surgeries.
And we have had a breast implant surgery done as well. Now these are some confidential patients who we don't want to talk about, but I consent and say, okay, I've had this done.
Away from the glamour of trying to look good, the plastic and cosmetic surgeries do have their risks, and the patient is required to sign a form before the surgery is done to clear the doctors of any legal suit.
We don't treat patients on the first time they walk in. We like them to be well informed. We ask them to read up, do the research, and make a valid assessment of what they're going to have done.
Some medical experts, such as Dr. Ian Clark, also advise people to be very careful when considering to go for plastic or cosmetic surgery.
If someone has the money and they want to have some form of plastic surgery done, and it's a recognized procedure and it's been well tried and tested, I don't really see an issue with that. That's their choice. But they must go into any form of surgery realizing that there are some risks to that and that they're subjecting themselves to that.
Plastic surgeries have their downside, which include complications, imperfect results, and the unpredictable healing speed, to mention a few. The cost of plastic and cosmetic surgery ranges from about 7 to 25 million shillings, depending on the complexity of the procedure. Suhail Mugavi, NTV Weekend Edition.
Welcome back. Now, service delivery in Uganda is in a tailspin as government continues to pay lip service to the concerns of the citizenry. The problem is really widespread, from the apathy and lethargy of civil servants to the inept and corrupt public service and rudderless political elite. The country continues to totter from one crisis to another. The doctors cannot diagnose basic diseases, the teachers cannot resolve basic maths equations, and the hospitals are rotting away. How can we reverse this situation? To discuss this on Talk of the Nation is Law Dawn at Makerere University, Bosinje Kabumba. Good evening, Bosinje. Welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Good evening, Shannon.
How has your week been?
Not too bad. How's yours?
It was a great week, actually. We'll get right into the discussion. Okay. Typically, when we talk about service delivery, the mind quickly races to public service delivery and government. But I want to bring it closer home. We have a strike going on at Makerere University now. Some of the faculties have not had lecturers for 2 weeks. So the students are on strike. The lecturers are on strike because they haven't been paid for 3 months. Now, my question is, why is an institution like Makerere University, which is well respected, why would it fail to pay its lecturers?
Well, it goes back, so this is a public institution essentially, and it goes back to the challenge that happened in the late 90s in terms of structural adjustment. And Mamdani has written about this in one book, Scholars at the Marketplace, that describes the effects of this neoliberal reform on institutions such as Makerere. Essentially, with the guidance of the Bretton Woods institutions, the government was guided into stepping away from certain key sectors. This included, well, public service generally, parastatals, but also, unfortunately, higher education. And the reasoning was that, you know, concentrate on primary and then eventually secondary, and then higher education would, in a sense, sort itself out. But more problematically, there have been suggestions that have been said that this move was especially dangerous because the de-emphasis on higher education was supposed to be on the basis that the thinking, the research would be done elsewhere and consumed in Africa. Essentially, the message seems to have been you need primary and secondary education. The higher education, not so much. The research will be done in the north, other Western universities. You will consume and pass it on, which is very problematic. And so it really goes back to the de-emphasis on higher education. So you have the UP being rolled out, USC, and then the reduction in scholarships in the higher institutions. So it's really externally driven. And so it points to the dangers of challenged sovereignty and autonomy. And that's where one can empathize the government in the sense of some of the decisions that should be made by an independent government have essentially been taken away. So it's not even just about the Bahati law that is happening. It's happening in so many sectors, including education. And what we're seeing now are just the fruits of that old process.
So what can be done in the case of the education sector?
I think what can be done is, you see, political independence is useless without some sort of economic self-sustainability. And so for as long as the countries of Africa and say increasingly less so, but Asia still, have their imperatives chosen externally by basically agendas set outside. For as long as that happens, and it happens basically because of economic imperatives, for as long as that's the case, you will have people telling you withdraw from health, withdraw from education, while in their own parts of the world, you have students being given loans, and in some cases, higher education financing. So the idea that privatize in this place and then too big to fail somewhere else is very problematic. So it really goes to autonomy, and autonomy is linked to finances and basically whether we can handle our own public passes. And also that's, of course, linked to a question of a national culture. Are we spending, are we saving enough or saving everything? From the individual to the government. And something, I think, so it's, you know, as you say, it's not just a public sector thing. It's also a question of private sector and a national attitude. Aga Sekalala of Ugachik was, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago, talking about employment of Ugandans and talking about funerals and weddings. So I think we have more weddings and funerals per capita than so many other places. So he was talking about being forced to go to Malaysia and hiring people from rural Malaysia to come and work on a farm in Uganda. I think that talks a lot to what's working or failing to work here in Uganda and other African countries.
I mean, listening to you, I get the feeling that in the case of Makere, for example, that the leadership has their hands tied. Is this really the case? Because I get the sense that what we have is a management by crisis, day in, day out, year in, year out. Is there absolutely nothing that they can do within their powers? No, it's about money. It's really a question of money, how much money is available to pay lecturers. There was some sort of settlement done, I think, in the past year where government made certain commitments, and those are not being met. So it's a question of money being collected by the university, sent to the center. Then money is supposed to come from the center back to the university, which somewhere gets caught up along the way. And also a question of the government pulling back from financing. There should be a real investment in terms of higher education. It should be done. You cannot have a country that comes on an agenda when you're not paying those people who should be researching and teaching. So the idea that you're going to just pay people a basic 1.5 for a person teaching at the university, I think it's simply not going to cut it. Then if you don't pay it on time, it becomes. So it's not a question of Professor Dumba failing to pay people. It's just a question of his hands being essentially tied by the arrangements he has found in place. Okay, let's look at the question of priorities, which seem to affect service delivery, even from what you're saying. We tend to see billions doled to certain sectors, like the president's office, obviously, and State House, and yet, like you said, educational institutions are in limbo. Hospitals are ill-equipped. Are we looking at a different picture? Why do the priorities seem to be mixed up from different sides of the table?
That is it's a governance question. And I was just talking to my students today in a constitutional law class, and you see, it is a political question. The choice of governance determines then what you get in the sense of access to social services. So the political choice it cannot be escaped. There's no escaping it. But at the same time, so it really goes to governance. So if the governance question cannot be divorced from the service delivery one. I think people get comfortable and people also get detached increasingly. So there are some people, there are some children of some people who have never stepped in a taxi. So they have that real disconnect between certain classes of society who cannot empathize. I think a very good point was made by, okay, let me not mention individuals, but if you don't engage with the public sector, if your children don't go to public schools, or if you don't have to go to public hospitals, you will never really appreciate what's happening. So you will talk about it in abstract, but when it comes to the question about allocation, despite your best intentions, you might not be able to commit to it what you could if you don't have that engagement. So it's a question of engagement, really.
Then there's also the issue of service delivery, poor service delivery in the public sector being pegged to the drive for primitive capital accumulation. There are those who believe that as long as public servants are obsessed with material possessions and gains, funds that are meant for service delivery will always be misappropriated. Do you think this is really the problem, as far as misappropriation of funds is concerned?
No, I'm not an economist, but I'm a public servant myself. But we have to pay bills. And we have to send our children to school. When you get sick, do we not, the famous, when you cut him, does he not bleed, from Shakespeare? We have to pay bills. I won't call it primitive capital accumulation. It is a question of whether people are comfortable enough to be able to sustain themselves. And if they don't, you'll have empty chairs in public offices as people struggle to make a living. So there's no running away from the question of sufficient remuneration for people to be able to do their work. But at the same time, and studies have shown that the question of corruption or service delivery is not just linked to payment, because for as long as people also don't feel the question of equity, see, if I'm